Disclosure requirements. Disclosure format. The duties of the single agent relationship and non-representation must be fully described and disclosed in writing to a buyer or a seller, either as a separate or a distinct disclosure document or included as part of another document, such as a listing agreement or a buyer brokerage agreement. If the disclosure document is incorporated into a listing or a buyer brokerage agreement, a signature line must be inserted immediately following the disclosure information. It is not sufficient to only have a signature line at the bottom of the listing or the buyer brokerage agreement. When incorporated into other documents, the required disclosure notice must be of the same size as or larger type than other provisions of the document and must be conspicuous in its placement to advise customers or principals in a single agent relationship of the brokerage duties. The first sentence must be printed in uppercase and bold type. List of duties must be presented on the disclosure in the same order as listed in the statute, and the disclosure notice may include the company name, logo, address, phone number, and email address. Transaction broker. Under Florida law, it is presumed that all licensees are operating as transaction brokers unless another brokerage relationship is established. Therefore, unless another brokerage relationship is established, there is no requirement to give a written disclosure to the buyer and/or the seller. However, licensees must fulfill the duties of a transaction broker when that form of representation is selected. Single agent. The single agent disclosure must be made before or at the time of entering into a listing agreement or an agreement for representation, or before showing the property, whichever occurs first. Non-representation. The no brokerage relationship notice must be disclosed in writing before the showing of property. Record keeping and retention of disclosure documents. Brokers must retain brokerage relationship disclosure documents for 5 years for all residential transactions that result in a written contract to purchase and sell real property. Documents may be stored in a digital format. Files of properties that have failed to close must also be retained. If a transaction fails to close, the licensee should retain the brokerage relationship disclosure documents with the purchase and sale contract and other documents associated with the property and place them in the dead or failed to close file. The Commission may discipline a licensee for failure to abide by any provision in Section 475.278 of Florida statutes, including the duties owed to customers and principals, disclosure requirements, and record-keeping requirements set forth in law.